Hello, welcome back to Mishler Math. Today we're going to learn how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide functions. Okay, and for example, if we add functions, we call that f plus g of x. Or sometimes we just say f plus g. And what that is equal to is f of x plus g of x. It's very, very simple. There's no big secret about that stuff. Subtract. We use a different color. F minus g of x equals f of x minus g of x. Multiply. F times g of x. No, we don't say fx g of x because that's middle school math or elementary school math. This dot means multiply. F of x times g of x. Or sometimes we just say f times g. Same thing with all these. Sometimes we don't put the of x on there. We just say f times g, f minus g. That's how we work with functions. And finally, divide. And that's f over g of x. And what do you suppose that's going to be? Yes, f of x divided by g of x. Like, not rocket science. This is pretty simple, straightforward. So let's try a couple of examples how to do this stuff. Okay. First of all, I'm going to say f of x. Let me make this like this. Okay. F of x equals negative 7x squared plus 12x plus 2.5. Okay? And g of x equals 7x squared minus 5. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find f plus g. Well, that's real simple. F of x is right here, negative 7x squared plus 12x plus 2.5, okay? Plus g of x, which is 7x squared minus 5. And now we simplify. Negative 7x squared, positive 7x squared, obviously cancel. 12x, and there's no other x terms, so you have 12x. And then 2.5 minus 5 is minus 2.5, or 2.5. So, f plus g of x, now notice, first I'm given f of x and g of x. F plus g of x equals 12x minus 2.5. Isn't that neat? Now let's try the green one. F minus g. Well, what that is equal to, the same thing, negative 7x squared plus 12x plus 2.5 minus, and parentheses are absolutely required here, 7x squared minus 5. What does that equal? That's a negative 7x squared plus 12x plus 2.5. And anytime I have a negative sign in front of a parentheses, that's like a negative 1 times everything. So I have to use the distributive property here. So I have a negative 7x squared plus, I almost said minus, plus 5. And what does that equal to? Negative 7x squared and a negative 7x squared is a negative 14x squared. Okay, takes care of that and that. 12x, I'm combining like terms. We'll be doing an awful lot of this in algebra here. 12x. And 2.5 plus 5 is plus 7.5. So, f of x, or excuse me, sorry, f plus, no, Okay, try this again. F minus g of x equals what you see right here. Okay, so that's how you add and subtract functions. Now let's try another deal here, and this time I'm going to multiply functions, and we got a couple of different functions here. Let's try f of x equals 3x squared plus 1, and g of x equals 5x minus 2. So we're going to find f times g times g, and we're going to find f divided by g. Now f times g works like this. F of x is 3x squared plus 1. G of x is 5x minus 2. Okay? So 3x squared plus 1, we're going to have to FOIL, use the distributive property. Okay, 3x squared plus 1 times 5x, and 3x squared plus 1 times negative 2. So 3x squared plus 5, or times 5x, is 3 times 5 is 15. X to the third power. 1 times 5x is plus 5x, because they're both positive. All right. 3x squared times negative 2 is minus 6x squared. And 1 times negative 2 is minus 2. So we simplify this and we put this, and we haven't talked about this much, but standard form usually is when I start with the highest exponent and then take the next exponent, negative 6x squared, the next higher exponent, and then put plus 5x and then minus 2. So f times g is equal to this right here. Okay? How about f over g? Oh, you're going to love this one. Watch. 3x squared plus 1 over 5x minus 2. Now, can I simplify this? No, I cannot simplify x with x. I cannot do that. There's two terms here, not two factors. I can only simplify when I've got factors. So if I've got two terms here and two terms here, I can't simplify anything, so I'm done. That's it. That's f over g, or f divided by g. So that's an easy one. So now it's not always this easy, but oftentimes it is. And if that's the answer and you can't simplify it, well then you're all done. Speaking of all done, we're all done with that section. We got something even more fun for you. And this is called composition of functions. Composition of functions. Composition of functions works like this. F of g of x. And that's how we say that. F of g of x. F of g of x. Now, before you get all freaky on me, just remember, if f of x equals 3x plus 1, f of 2 equals 3 times 2 plus 1, f of negative 5 equals 3 times negative 5 plus 1, f of Fred equals 3 times Fred plus 1. You notice that whatever f of x is, whatever x is, I just put that over here. So that means that f of g of x equals 3 times g of x plus 1. You say, well, what the heck is g of x? Well, we haven't figured out. We don't know what g is. So I'm going to show you how this works, okay? Another way of looking at this, okay, and this is something that's kind of difficult to understand or tricky to understand, but Not really when you break it down like this. You remember the function machine? I said that your x goes in here, or something from your domain goes in here. And if it's a function, you've got something that comes out here that's y. Well, a composition of functions works like this. We got two little function machines in here, okay? And so what happens is, let's say this is g of x, okay? So x goes in here, and g of x turns it into something else. This is g of x coming out of here, okay? Then that becomes the input for the next one, okay? So what we end up coming out at the end here is f of g of x, okay? So we start with g of x and find the outcome, and so the domain of x turns into the range, or excuse me, the domain of g of x turns into the range of f of x, okay? So again, if this is not something if you're a little confused right now, well, hang in there. Let me show you how to do a couple problems using this, okay? Let's say f of x equals negative 2x squared plus 3. And g of x equals negative 2x. So we're going to find, and by the way, the proper function notation looks like this, which is appropriate because by now some of you are probably in a fog. So f of g of x or f of g. So we're going to find f of g of x first. Remember, f of g of x is f of g of x. Okay, this is how that works. So if I want f of x, then f of x, or if f of x equals negative 2x squared plus 3, then f of, and let's try this again. My doodad isn't working the way it's supposed to, so bear with me. Let's see, where are we here? There we go. F of g of x, if f of x equals negative 2x squared plus 3, then f of g of x equals negative 2 times g of x squared plus 3. Say, well, what did I do? Wherever the x is, I just put g of x in there. Well, what's g of x? That's negative 2x. So f of g of x is the same as f of negative 2x, which equals a negative 2 times g of x, which is negative 2x, squared plus 3. Now here we have to use order of operations, which says, and let me move it down here a little bit, which says that, first of all, I do what's inside the parentheses here, and I raise it to the power, okay? So negative 2 squared is positive 4. X squared is just x squared. So I got negative 2 times 4x squared plus 3, or negative 8x squared plus 3. Now that's what f of g of x is. F o g equals negative 8 squared plus 3. Say, well, wait a minute, what about the other one? Well, let's take a look at that other one here. What we got? G of x is negative 2x. So let's see if we can figure out what g o f would be equal to. Remember, that's g of f of x. Okay? So we say if g of x equals negative 2x, well then g of f of x is going to equal a negative 2 times f of x. What does that mean? G of negative 2x squared plus 3 equals a negative 2 times a negative 2x squared plus 3. And negative 2 times a negative 2x squared is positive 4x squared. Negative 2 times a positive 3 is a negative 6. So there I have g of f equals 4x squared minus 6. And ladies and gentlemen, that's all there is to it. Of course, we'll answer some questions in class next time I see you, and we'll do some problems. And the problems are going to start off fairly simple and work their way up to a little bit more complicated ones, but I think you'll get it in no time at all. Thank you so much.